I'm not sure what really made the change in my expression other than probably it's a reflection of my personal life. And I've had a lot of difficulty dealing with sexual subjects and sexual situations, all my life through childhood. And I think that continued on and still does continue on. And the best way for me to deal with it is by showing people things, because I'm always showing myself when I do it too. I create things for people knowing what I think that they need or they want, but I'm not controlled or catering to my audience in any way, because then that changes the purity of what you do. So there's a fine line between giving people what they want and letting them dictate what you create for their demands, and you become much more like a waiter than a chef. It's strangely hard for me to be objective, because I found that when we were making the record, I thought it was very difficult for others to understand it, because we created in a completely different fashion than before. But maybe we've stumbled on the best and strongest form of this band that's ever existed. I would suggest composing a song from an idea that I pulled from my head, not an idea I could show anyone, so I would have to, in the role of producing, and which worked with my collaboration with Tim, that I could say I want a song that sounds like a burning piano with the rhythm of a stampeding elephant with a Busby Berkeley chorus line of girls, or I want a song that, for another interesting experiment making the record, the song Paranoir, which is a word that I created to describe the fear and paranoia of why people want to use you, or what people want out of a relationship. That's a fear that everyone has. So I gathered together an audition of sorts of different women that I didn't know, and I asked them to say whatever they wanted to. The only prerequisite was that they begin the sentence with, "I fuck you because." And I said, you can imagine it's me, you can imagine it's somebody else in your life. I did not give them any music to listen to. I just asked them to say exactly what they wanted, and I would encourage them to get mad, and some of them recited it in the nude. There was just, every occasion it was an experiment in seeing what people would say when they're given the opportunity, and not knowing the circumstances of how it would be used. And I thought I got very honest expressions, and the most interesting ones are the ones that appear in the song. And sometimes each word in each sentence is comprised of a different girl. So I actually literally had to cut up many women to create this, which sounds more gruesome than it was. But it was more of a photo montage, but with words. Well, the politics and religion can be extracted from it by anyone who listens to it. But, for example, "Use Your Fist and Not Your Mouth," I think, comes across as the only real political anthem on the record. But it was a sarcastic approach at dealing with the idea that I can't exist in a world subscribing to left-wing or right-wing, or white-collar or blue-collar, and I wanted to create sort of the workers' anthem, a manifesto for black-collar people, because I said, I most often wear a black collar. Today mine's white, but it doesn't mean that I fit in with the category of people who call themselves white-collar. So that song, I think, represents the fact that I have not jumped on any sort of bandwagon to criticize the American government or make comments about the current president, because it's always been my job to challenge everyone who's been president in the period when I've worked, because I've been attacked by my own government. Well, mob scene is a chaotic event. Could be interpreted as a riot, or it could be interpreted as the way I want to transform any situation that I enter. It's inspired sort of by the Viennese action movement ideal of arriving into any scene and making it obscene, or taking any viewpoint and making it obtuse. I have a face that you can throw on TV and it automatically causes controversy and asks questions, and just the name itself raises fear and confusion in so many Americans. I think me, in some ways, being exonerated of blame was a big step, and it was important to the film, and it was important to my career. But at the same time, I can't support everything in the movie, because in some ways, attacking Charlton Heston at the end could be looked at as the way I was attacked, and I think ultimately, the fact that I don't agree with it then also proves the point that it is an important film. People continue to see me in a different light every day, it seems, but that film, I think, has been important in the schedule of events, the timing that has given birth to the whole golden age of Grotesque, that it became sort of the final battle or the final statement of everything that's happened up until this point. The name Marilyn Manson has been an indictment of the way American media affects American culture to create the desire to destroy and to create the idea that you can become famous for doing terrible things just as much as doing positive things. And events like Columbine are very much innately American. And when you see them in any other culture, I think it's the Americanization of other cultures, because America really breeds that, and that's always been what I've said from the beginning of my career. So when I said the same sort of things in the film, it wasn't new to me, but the fact that it exposed my way of thinking to a lot of people who hadn't listened to my music, it was important. And not only that, the film questioning the ideas of entertainment and violence was very important and very timely to everything that we're doing. And I think even what I said in the movie about someone blaming me, just now as I'm being censored, images that were supposed to be in the album, whether it be the images where I evoke Mickey Mouse or the sort of Otto Dix-inspired paintings that Helnwein did of Dita with the young girl watching innocently, something that really doesn't define itself of what is taking place, but it's a very beautiful and provocative idea. The fact that things like that would be censored when you can see something so much more violent on television and the behavior of the government, I could never compare or never possibly live up to the things that they've done. It really proves a duplicity that art then becomes responsible to challenge. It has to.